Wait, is that my mother-in-law over there? It happened when I arrived at the hotel during a business trip. Behind the building, I spotted a disheveled woman rummaging through garbage. When she turned to look at me, our eyes met. Upon closer inspection, I realized it was my mother-in-law. What on earth is going on? Startled, the woman ran away. I hurriedly called my husband, but his response left me even more confused.
My mother is here with me now.
However, from this point on, shocking revelations unfolded. My name is Valentina. I married my same-age husband, William, 3 years ago when I was 30. We decided to postpone having children a little longer, wanting to enjoy some private time as a couple and due to our busy work schedules. While others often asked, "When will you have kids?" my mother-in-law was the only one who understood our perspective and supported us. I thought those peaceful and happy days would continue indefinitely. However, 6 months ago, William suddenly quit his job without any consultation. What on earth is going on? I asked. William replied,
Well, I've been thinking about starting my own business. Age-wise, now seems like the perfect time.
But, are you okay without any preparation?
Don't worry about it, Valentina.
William assured me without providing any further details. His impulsive decision left me genuinely bewildered. We had just built a house, which added to my anxiety. If you're starting a company, you'll need money, won't you? Have you thought about that?
I think we'll get things up and running quickly, and I won't inconvenience you, Valentina.
William replied. Although I had many questions and concerns, I decided to observe William's determination without dampening his spirits. Yet deep down, I couldn't fully support him. The next day, when I had some errands, I called my mother-in-law. He suddenly quit his job, and now he wants to start his own business. He made all these decisions without consulting me, and I found out afterward. I explained.
Well, maybe William didn't want to worry you, Valentina.
My mother-in-law replied. I hope so. But still. I hesitated.
Trust him. Take care,
she said before hanging up. Perhaps my tone wasn't ideal. My usually empathetic mother-in-law seemed distant on the phone. I realized that even though she's a kind person, I need to be careful about the topics I bring up. After that, William prepared to start his own business and converted one room in our home into the company's office.
I'll be out late tonight for a business dinner.
I understood.
Networking is crucial, so I'll be attending more events like this.
True to his declaration, William began going out more frequently. Our schedules rarely aligned. I'd return home while he was leaving, and he'd come back after midnight. On weekends, he'd be away for client dinners, golf outings, or fishing trips, sometimes even staying overnight. However, he remained tight-lipped about the specifics of his work situation. What does it mean to be a married couple? As time passed, our conversations dwindled, and I felt an inexplicable loneliness. Gradually, his independence started affecting our household finances.
Valentina, can you cover this month's living expenses and the mortgage? I apologize.
Is the business still not doing well?
It's not that, but payments from clients take time, even after completing work.
At this point, William had been running his business for only 2 months. Well, it's still early days. I reassured myself. As a full-time employee, I contributed to our household expenses, but William hadn't contributed anything. Hey, can you start contributing to our living expenses? We can't save like this. Determined to address the situation, I decided to talk to William.
I'm tired, and I don't want to discuss money right now. Let's talk later.
He dismissed my concerns. But we need to have a proper conversation about this. I insisted.
Enough! You're always nitpicking. As my wife, you should silently support me.
Suddenly, William raised his voice, his anger evident, and he even tried to strike me. Without an apology, he retreated to his home office. This is bad. We can't communicate. That incident shattered something inside me. With little connection between us, I began contemplating divorce. And then, as my own feelings solidified and I prepared for the future, I found myself on a business trip that required an overnight stay. Since it was in the state where William's parents lived, I decided to contact my mother-in-law directly to discuss my decision to divorce. I sent her an email, but unfortunately, there was no response. As the day of the business trip arrived, I landed at my destination and headed to the hotel to drop off my luggage. While passing behind the hotel, I noticed a disheveled woman rummaging through garbage. Perhaps sensing my presence, she turned around, and our eyes met. Initially, I felt like I shouldn't stare, but in that moment, my heart raced. Wait, is that my mother-in-law? The woman bore a striking resemblance to her, and considering that William's parents' home wasn't far from here, I briefly wondered if it could be her. However, I dismissed the idea. It couldn't possibly be true. Still, I attempted to approach and speak to her, but she fled before I could reach her. With work deadlines looming, I couldn't chase after her. To confirm, I tried calling my mother-in-law, but she remained unreachable. Frustrated, I decided to contact William. His response surprised me.
Wait, she's with me right now.
But maybe I just misjudged, I replied. William dismissed the matter, saying she was tired and lying down. He abruptly ended the call while I was still trying to explain. Yet, if my mother-in-law was indeed with him, then my initial sighting must have been a mistake. But the thought lingered, leaving me unsettled. Driven by curiosity, the next day, just before checking out, I decided to explore the hotel's surroundings once more. I revisited the garbage area and nearby alleys where I'd seen the woman before, but she was nowhere to be found. Let's check that spot one last time. If she's not there, I'll stop worrying about my mistake. With determination, I ventured a bit farther from the hotel to a nearby park. As I scanned the area, I noticed something between the trees, a cardboard-like object moving. Approaching, I saw a head and legs peeking out from the top and bottom of the box. I couldn't help but call out. I saw a scarf wrapped around the woman's neck. I had given it to my mother-in-law as a Mother's Day gift shortly after getting married, and she always wore it when going out. Startled, the woman suddenly jumped up and fled without looking back. Wait! I called after her, but she disappeared. Could this woman truly be my mother-in-law? If so, what did William's previous statement mean? The confusion overwhelmed me. Back home, I resolved to ask William again. After returning home from my business trip, I found William in the middle of washing dishes.
Welcome back. My mother just left a moment ago. She wanted to see Valentina too.
He held 2 sets of dishes, indicating that someone had been there. Despite my lingering doubts about William, I decided to call my mother-in-law once more. However, the phone rang without connecting at all. Driven by curiosity, I visited my in-laws' house on my day off. What I saw there left me speechless. A vacant lot where the building used to stand. What's going on? I haven't heard anything, I wondered aloud. Despite the confusion, I remained convinced that the disheveled woman I saw during the business trip was indeed my mother-in-law. Suspicious of William's silence, I resolved to uncover the truth. First, I desperately wanted to talk to my mother-in-law, so I set out to find her again. I continued to interact with William as usual, secretly investigating. This time, I went to a place that might hold crucial answers and tried to listen to what was said. As I learned more, hidden truths began to emerge. I won't forgive this. Fueled by anger toward William, I decided to take matters into my own hands. 2 weeks later, William had been away for about 3 days on a business golf outing with distant clients. On the day he was due to return home, I had prepared everything and quietly waited for his arrival. It was 7 p.m. when I heard the sound of the front door unlocking, and there he was, William, entering the living room without even saying I'm home. He tossed a large Boston bag onto the sofa.
I'm exhausted. Make me some coffee,
he demanded. Welcome back. I have something to discuss, I said, undeterred by his tired demeanor.
Can't it wait? I'm already wiped out.
William replied, furrowing his brow. But I pressed on. I still believe the woman I saw during my business trip was your mother.
Are you still going on about that? It was just a passing resemblance. My mother was with me,
he retorted, exasperated. Ignoring his sigh, I continued. But when I visited your parents' home, it was gone, reduced to an empty lot.
What? You went to my parents' place? Why would you do that without telling me?
William's eyes widened, and he seemed ready to confront me. Why were you so frantic today when I visited your mother before without any fuss? I asked.
It's not like that. I'm not worked up,
he stammered. But you never mentioned demolishing the parents' house. What happened? I insisted, locking eyes with him. William stumbled, offering a flimsy excuse.
I've never heard of that. I haven't spoken to my mother in a while.
Really? Wasn't I there on the day of my business trip?
Well,
his lie was transparent, and cracks began to show. He shifted uncomfortably and then lowered his gaze. Even when I pressed him, William remained tight-lipped. Fine, I'll ask your mother directly, I declared.
what?
William's voice cracked as I opened the door next to the living room.
Mom?
He exclaimed, shocked to see his mother in the adjacent room. In truth, every time I had a day off, I visited hotels near my business trip destinations, hoping to find my mother-in-law. I had seen her wrapped in cardboard, sleeping in a park, and later sitting on a bench. Despite her initial attempts to flee, I managed to persuade her to talk. After hearing her side of the story, I promptly arranged a nearby hotel for her stay, part of my plan for retribution against William. Why did your house disappear and become an empty lot?
Well, I needed money. Selling the house was the only option.
She began speaking in a soft voice. What did you need the money for?
It's.
She glanced briefly at William, hesitating to continue.
There are things even a mother can't share. Stop crying!
Perhaps seizing the opportunity while observing his mother's demeanor, William defended her. If your mother won't say, then I'll tell you, I said, nodding toward my mother-in-law, then taking a deep breath before addressing William. Because of the debt you asked her to take on, your mother had to sell the house, right?
What? That's absurd. There's no way.
He vehemently denied it, but I ignored his protest. Is what I just said accurate? When I asked, my mother-in-law nodded slowly but firmly.
Come on, you two have no evidence. Are you trying to frame me?
He slammed the table, shouting at both of us. I have evidence. I visited the company you left and heard the story, I said. At that moment, William fell silent, his previous intensity dissipating. In reality, I had been investigating William by visiting the company where he worked before starting his own business. There, I learned shocking facts. You didn't quit the company, you were fired, right? William remained tight-lipped, turning away. You had an affair with a woman from accounting, and you both misused company funds, leading to your dismissal, correct? Furthermore, the money they used was discovered later, and William agreed to repay it all at once to avoid involving the police and keeping it secret from the family. The company also wanted to avoid the complications of a police investigation, so they accepted the condition of repayment in exchange for dismissal. And that lump sum repayment? It was the money my mother-in-law had prepared at William's request. You introduced her to a consumer finance company, right?
Why do you know all this?
My mother-in-law believed that since she would repay the debt herself, it was fine to lend her name. William had asked her to keep it a secret from me, too. But he never showed any intention of repaying, and the collection notices kept coming, of course, to the address where my mother-in-law had signed. Desperate, she sold the house to repay the consumer finance company. Deceiving your own mother to incur debt is despicable. And even after hearing that she had to sell the house, it seems you didn't care, I exclaimed. William nonchalantly replied,
It's fine. The debt was settled, so there's no problem.
That's not okay. Your actions led to your mother losing her home, and now she's living in a rundown state in the park, I retorted.
Being a parent means helping their children when they're in need. Besides, it was my mother's decision. I never told her to sell the house.
William defended himself. His lack of remorse was infuriating. My mother-in-law looked heartbroken, and my own emotions were in turmoil. To make your own parents miserable. I won't forgive you. I locked eyes with William, who was sprawled on the sofa. By the way, you haven't paid any living expenses or the mortgage. Can you show me evidence of your company's financial transactions? William snapped.
No way. There's no need for that.
Ignoring his refusal, I handed him a copy of the company's financial records from his computer. I looked at your computer to investigate you. William stammered.
You! How dare you invade someone's privacy like that?
Your income has been almost zero, but was your company merely a facade? I pressed. Caught off guard, he fell silent. But this wasn't the end. And on top of that, you're cheating without even working, I accused. William exploded.
You have no proof. How dare you say that?
I opened my laptop, revealing a video. I have evidence. As he watched the footage, William's face turned pale. The video showed him with another woman in his home office, clearly engaged in an affair. I had discreetly installed cameras to monitor his actions. Still involved with that woman, huh? Knowing she worked in accounting, I had shown the footage to William's former boss, who confirmed her identity. The 2 sets of dishes at home during my business trip likely belonged to his mistress. Supporting you financially while you cheat without working. Your entitlement knows no bounds, I said. William retorted.
What's wrong with that? You earn more, so it's only natural for you to provide.
His audacity shocked me. But using our savings for your affairs? What's your plan? I confronted him with our bank account statements. You've depleted our joint account. This man's behavior was beyond redemption. His excuses were tiresome. Curious about the source of his affair funds, I checked our bank accounts, confirming my suspicions. So, for that reason, please proceed with the divorce. Pay back the depleted savings and the compensation for the affair all at once, I stated firmly. William protested.
That's impossible. Stop saying absurd things.
That's just your convenience, isn't it? I retorted. William turned to his mother, desperately asking,
Mom, can you lend me money again? It seems I have to pay her.
Both my mother-in-law and I were left speechless by William's outrageous remarks. But my mother-in-law gathered her resolve and stepped forward.
Enough is enough. I'm cutting ties with you. But before that, repay the debt I covered,
she declared boldly. Internally, I applauded her strength. And by the way, I've consulted a lawyer I know, so don't even think about evading this, I added. Abandoned even by his own mother, William came to me, pleading tearfully.
We can't get divorced. I apologize for everything. Please forgive me. Let's return my mother's money together.
That's out of the question. It's the consequence of your actions, I replied sternly, watching him collapse to his knees. In the following days, the divorce between William and me was finalized. I claimed $25,000 for the affair compensation and half of the money from the depleted savings. His affair partner also paid $10,000 in compensation. My mother-in-law demanded full repayment of the debt she had covered. I let him sell the house, which was under William's name and where I had been paying the mortgage, to start repaying my mother-in-law. Now, she can rebuild her life. I'm content living in an apartment, and William used the money from selling the house to make payments. However, he still has outstanding mortgage debt, and he's currently working away from home. As for me, I'm more dedicated to my work than ever. While I hope to find love again someday, for now, I'm enjoying my single life.
How did you like this story? If you enjoyed it, consider subscribing to my channel. Until next time.
Ashley is really lucky to have such a beautiful mom. It's such a shame our daughter takes after you. Oh well.
My husband constantly belittles me and our daughter. He repeatedly praises only his niece, favoring her over our daughter. But the most disappointing one here is him. I guess it's about time you figured that out. My name is Katie. I'm a part-time homemaker in my late 40s. My daughter's name is Jennifer. She's a busy high school junior preparing for exams. My husband, Robert, is a salaried worker in his late 40s. He holds a managerial position and always complains when he comes home from work. I can tolerate his venting about work-related stress. But it shouldn't extend beyond that. He tends to vent his stress on his family. Anyway, he openly criticizes both me and our daughter. He complains about my cooking daily. He even complains every time he finishes his meal. After dinner, he complains about the house not being clean enough. He traces his finger along the windowsill and says, "Husband, there's still dust. Do it again." Who does he think he is? A king? He says things like,
"You're such a useless and disappointing wife."
He even criticizes how I polish glasses. It's becoming quite tiresome. But it doesn't stop there. He's also harsh with our daughter. Despite being his daughter, he finds fault in everything she does. It's natural for a middle schooler to care about their appearance, but he criticizes her every time she changes her hairstyle, saying it doesn't suit her. When she decides to join a club, he tells her to quit because it's pointless. Even if she gets good grades on a test. He never praises her, just criticizes her and tells her to work harder. When he speaks, family time becomes the worst time. Both my daughter and I are fed up with him. One day, we visited my in-laws during a long weekend. My husband's brother's family lives there too. We don't visit often. His brother is kind and a really good person. Their only daughter, Ashley, is in the same grade as Jennifer and is also a really good kid. Jennifer and Ashley get along really well. But there's a problem in this house too. My sister-in-law, my brother-in-law's wife. My sister-in-law Melissa is so beautiful. She could be a model. I can't help but wonder why she married my average-looking brother-in-law. But she has a strong personality. A bit too strong. She always makes remarks that put me down.
Katie, your makeup skills are really lacking, aren't they? Oh, my bad. No matter how hard you try, you always look sloppy. I'm always told I look beautiful even without makeup.
That's just the tip of the iceberg. It's the least harmful level.
I've lost weight again. No matter what I eat, I never gain weight. Melissa, on the other hand, has maintained her figure so well. What on earth do you eat to look like that? While I was walking in the city, someone asked if I wanted to become a model. It's such a hassle to turn those down. Katie, you're lucky you don't have to deal with that. The other day, someone mistook me for my daughter's sister. It was so embarrassing. But it's okay for you, Katie. You look like a mom, so it's fine.
She effortlessly throws insults at me. Melissa is truly beautiful with an outstanding figure. I admit she's stunning. Her stories are probably true too. But does she really need to put me down every time? Every time she does, my brother-in-law gets angry.
What are you saying? That's rude.
But Melissa just laughs it off.
But it's true.
Well, I can let that slide or laugh it off. But sometimes, a chemical reaction occurs. Mixing can be dangerous. It triggers my husband.
That's right. My wife really lacks charm.
He even goes that far. But isn't he balding already? How can he criticize others? Melissa's daughter, Ashley, also inherited her mother's genes and is beautiful. She's in the same grade as Jennifer, but she seems so mature, almost like a high school or college student already. She's fashionable and beautiful, and Jennifer loves her. Ashley looks like her mom, but luckily takes after her dad in personality. She's a very kind and caring girl who doesn't look down on me or Jennifer. Isn't being both beautiful and kind the ultimate combo? That's what my daughter always says, her eyes sparkling. It must be something she admires. Thanks to that, Jennifer has started to care more about her appearance. She doesn't wear makeup, but she's started to become more fashionable within the school rules. She spends at least 30 minutes in front of the mirror every morning before school. Thanks to that, she no longer oversleeps. My in-laws are nice people, and I don't mind visiting their home where my in-laws, brother-in-law, and niece live. But it's just Melissa and my husband's attitudes that bother me. Neither his brother nor I can get through to them. I wonder if there's a good way to reform those two foul-mouthed individuals. Before I could come up with any good ideas, we found ourselves visiting my in-laws again.
Oh my, Katie, you look even older now. Do you have more wrinkles than me? If we walk together, people might think I'm younger.
3 minutes after opening the front door of my in-laws' house, I've already received the first remark from her. Looks like it's going to be another miserable time.
Katie, are you taking care of your skin properly? Don't skimp on moisturizer. When I go to the cosmetics counter, the staff always tell me I have smooth skin even without makeup.
Is it going to be like this again today? I'm starting to feel fed up. I shifted my focus to my daughters. My daughter Jennifer and niece Ashley, both being exam candidates, are happily studying together, spreading their textbooks out. We have to meet during Jennifer's first year of high school, as she'll likely be too busy studying for exams afterward and won't be able to come to my in-laws' house. We can't meet during Christmas or New Year's Day either, so the next time we can meet will probably be after the exams are over and Jennifer becomes a high school student. Jennifer came along today because she knows that. Let's see. Without being too intrusive, I peek into their notebooks. It's just an incomprehensible string of numbers. I managed to teach them until they were in elementary school, but studying for a junior high school third grader is beyond my comprehension. Is this really what I studied back then? It feels like a different world. Looking closer, it seems my daughter is teaching Ashley. Come to think of it, she was good at math. Ashley, with her adorable sparkling eyes, looked at my daughter.
Wow! Jennifer, your way of teaching is so easy to understand. This might be the first time I've really understood something. You're better at teaching than the teacher.
Jennifer seems pleased to be praised by her favorite person. Blushing with joy, she says, "That's not true." But then, someone unpleasant interrupts. First, it's myself, then her daughter, and then my annoying sister-in-law chiming in.
Well, look at that. As expected, the plain ones are good at plain studies. Huh.
There are even people nodding along with those words. Unfortunately, my husband was one of them.
Yeah, Jennifer may look pitiful, but she's good at studying. Huh? Can't help it though, you're beyond help.
That's right. Is Jennifer really related to Ashley? Well, Ashley's cuteness is thanks to me. No wonder you can't have a cute child, coming from your mother.
Hey, cut it out.
Just as my brother-in-law appears to rebuke them, my husband and sister-in-law continue on like nothing happened. In fact, he casually takes out his wallet. And then, he hands $50 to his niece.
Ashley is truly beautiful, huh? She's definitely a winner in life, no doubt about it. Let's give some money to such a kid. She's modest and has a good personality. Hey, why don't you try to make some effort to be fashionable instead of just studying all the time? Well, considering your origin, it might be impossible anyway. After all, it's because your mom wasted effort.
Being insulted so harshly by her aunt and father, tears welled up in my daughter's eyes. But my husband continued to ignore it, praising his niece.
Really, Ashley is so lucky to have a beautiful mom. Jennifer, on the other hand, has the worst mom possible. Ashley is so happy to take after her mom. It's such a shame Jennifer takes after her stepmom. What a difference.
Stop it already, Jennifer's eyes plead. Unable to voice it, my daughter's tearful SOS goes ignored. But my husband continues to ignore it, praising my niece with my sister-in-law, and bullying my daughter. Enough already. I was surprised at the loud voice that came out of me at that moment. I had reached my limit with my daughter's tears. I silently took my daughter's hand and left my in-laws' house. I was furious, absolutely furious. I won't forgive them. We usually stay overnight when we visit my in-laws, but after something like this, there's no way we'll stay. As soon as we got home, my mother-in-law and brother-in-law called one after another. They apologized profusely, though they aren't to blame. My in-laws seem to have said something to my husband, their own son, though it's difficult for them to speak directly to their daughter-in-law. But even then, my husband didn't seem to listen. As for my sister-in-law, of course, I'm angry with her, but I think my brother-in-law should deal with her. But my husband is different. He didn't even follow us home. Instead, he stayed overnight at my in-laws' house. My daughter and I discussed it and made a decision. The night after the incident at my in-laws, my husband finally came home.
I'm back.
He came in casually, saying he's home. Of course, I didn't say welcome back. Silence was my only response. As expected, he was all smiles. Still grinning, he peeked into the living room and looked around.
Is Jennifer in her room?
She's not here, I replied, and he frowned as he checked the clock.
She's still not back? It's already 10 at night. Even if she's at cram school, it's too late.
In a deliberate manner, I let out a loud sigh and got up from the couch. As I headed to the fridge, I told him, "She's not here anymore," while opening it.
Huh?
He tilted his head in confusion at my words. While confirming that in the corner of my vision, I opened a can of beer. A crisp sound echoed through the room as I popped open the can.
What do you mean she's not here? Did she go to a friend's house for the night?
Exactly as I said. She's no longer in this house.
Huh? What do you mean? I don't get it.
Your despicable behavior drove her to leave.
Huh? Gone? Where?
I don't know. It's not like I would know.
How can you be so calm about this? And you call yourself a mother?
Unfortunately, I do.
Come on. That was just a joke, right? Who would take that seriously?
A joke, you say? Unable to bear it, I slammed the can into the sink. A dull sound reverberated. I glared at my husband. A joke is something everyone can laugh at.
Huh? Why are you so angry?
Your joke wasn't funny at all. Only you and your sister laughed. No one else did. Where's the humor in that?
But that's because you're all too uptight.
Calling your daughter names for the sake of a joke? What kind of joke is that?
I was, hoping it would motivate her.
Such a child doesn't exist.
But I thought.
Enough. But I thought won't cut it. You've done enough to make our daughter abandon you.
Abandon me? Jennifer would abandon me?
That's why she left.
That's...
Doesn't he understand that he's done something irreparable until I spell it out like this? How disappointing. With a pale face, he grabbed my arm. I coldly brushed it off.
What should I do?
How should I know?
Will apologizing and asking for forgiveness work?
After years of what you've done to our daughter, it won't be that easy. My words seemed to hit home for him. He was speechless, then.
Go look for her.
And with that, he dashed out. At least he's worried once his daughter is gone. Funny how he said it was hopeless and no good, yet here he is. But it's too late. After watching him leave, I returned to the room and picked up my bag. It was packed as if I were going on a trip, despite having sent most of it via courier during the day. I left only what seemed immediately necessary, but it was still quite a bit. I hoisted the bag up and left the house. Confirming he wasn't around, I went out to the main street and hailed a taxi. My destination.
What's going on? Why isn't your stuff here too?
The first words from him when he called. His voice was so loud I had to move the phone away from my ear. After hearing my husband's voice, I put the phone back to my ear and said, "Well, obviously, I took it with me since I'm leaving."
Took it with you? Where the hell to?
Since he was still shouting, I put the phone on speaker. Placing it on the table, I took a sip of tea before speaking. I don't think I need to tell you where I'm going. Anyway, I'm leaving too, so good luck living on your own.
What? Are you kidding me? You think you can get away with this?
Aren't you glad to get rid of your disappointing wife?
You're really persistent. I told you it was a joke.
Another joke? Can't he see he's not showing any remorse? Just as I was about to raise my voice, right at that moment.
Dad's jokes aren't funny at all. No laughter can come from hurting your daughter.
Jennifer shouted from the side. He was surprised and shouted back in a panicked voice.
Jennifer, are you with her?
Were you expecting us? Mom, me, and Grandpa are at Grandpa's house.
Grandpa? Wait, are you at Katie's parents' house?
Yes. That's exactly it. We are at my parents' house in the neighboring district.
Got it. I'll come get you now. Let's talk together, okay?
With that, he hung up. It's fine by me. I wonder if he's prepared to have a serious talk. I turned back and pondered. After about 10 minutes, my husband arrived by car. And then he was speechless.
Why is everyone gathered here?
It's no wonder he was surprised. After all, at my parents' house, we had not only my parents but also my in-laws, brother-in-law, and even my sister-in-law and niece Ashley. It's rare for this group to gather together except for special occasions like weddings or funerals. Facing this unexpected sight, my husband was speechless. I smiled at him and said, "Well, have a seat here," pointing to the floor. In the center of the circle formed by me, my parents, brother-in-law, in-laws, daughter, and niece.
Here?
Yes, right there. With a forced smile, he sat down. By the way, my sister-in-law was sitting alone outside the circle. "Now then, do you have anything to say?"
I'm not the bad guy.
"Is that your excuse for telling tasteless jokes?" With a playful tug at his cheeks, he winced in pain.
Arg.
Before I could lose my temper at his overly playful attitude, my parents intervened.
Robert, what do you think a family is? As the head of the family, shouldn't you protect your family?
But I was trying to protect.
Is mocking my daughter and granddaughter your way of protecting them?
Well.
Do you even care about Jennifer?
Of course. I have overflowing love for.
Is criticizing her every day and comparing her unfavorably to other children your idea of overflowing love?
He was speechless under my father's stern gaze. Then my in-laws chimed in.
What a foolish son.
My husband was taken aback by the harsh words from his own parents. But my in-laws didn't stop there.
It seems we've raised him wrong. How did he become such an idiot?
But, dear, our eldest son turned out fine. Perhaps it's just his rotten character.
Yes, dear. This child has always had a tendency to look down on others since he was young. We've always warned him and even lectured him. But he never listens. Who does he take after? He's truly a disappointment of a son.
Husband, you don't have to go that far.
Who are you to say that after calling your wife and daughter disappointing?
Eek.
You can't imagine how awful it feels to be criticized until you're the one being criticized. Can you? You're truly a disappointment. 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 So disappointing.
I'm sorry.
We're not the ones you should apologize to.
Yes. Jennifer, Katie, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Finally, an apology came from him and he bowed to me and my daughter. Well, I have no intention of forgiving him. But when it comes to what he said to my daughter, I'll never forgive him. I glanced at my daughter, who had been insulted, and saw her expressionless face. She didn't seem affected by her father's apology at all. I couldn't help but smile wryly. Apparently, he noticed too.
Jennifer, I was also at fault.
What about you?
She finally spoke, her voice low. My husband's face turned pale.
What? You think you're at fault too? Ultimately, it's all because I'm a disappointment, right?
No,
You prefer Ashley and Auntie over me, don't you, Dad?
That's not.
We're just disappointing wives and daughters, aren't we? It's disappointing to have a father like you. I don't need a disappointing father anymore. It's annoying. If you like Ashley and Auntie so much, you should just live with them.
Well, that's...
He panicked. That's when my niece Ashley spoke up.
I don't want to live with such a disappointing uncle either.
He was taken aback by the unexpected statement from his niece. But Ashley didn't stop there.
It's unacceptable to criticize your wife and daughter while favoring your niece. You and your wife are both despicable. So disappointing.
I'm sorry.
I don't need such a disappointing apology. I hate both you and Mom. I don't want to see your faces.
My sister-in-law looked surprised at the unexpected words from her daughter. And my husband, too, slumped his shoulders when my daughter said,
I hate Dad too.
Well, in that case. As a conclusion, I said, Jennifer and I will continue living at my parents' house. It seems she doesn't need to transfer to a new school for middle school, and she can take the bus. The high school she wants to attend is closer to my parents' house, so there's no problem.
So you won't come back until high school?
It's not just until high school.
Are you talking about divorce?
Well, that's up to you in the future. It seems he didn't anticipate being abandoned by his family. With a pale face, he hung his head. Afterward, it seems my brother-in-law spoke quite harshly to my sister-in-law. And unable to tolerate her behavior anymore, they ended up living separately. In other words, he drove her out of their home. Since my sister-in-law's parents have passed away, she has nowhere to go back to, and she'll have to live on her own from now on. It seems my sister-in-law is quite shocked, but I doubt people like her will change. It will probably end in divorce. Ashley seems quite happy that her mother is leaving. With a smile, she told Jennifer to continue getting along well, and they hugged each other. As for my husband, he received daily apology calls and messages for a while, but when he said they were annoying, the messages and calls decreased. Just because he's finally obedient now doesn't mean he'll be forgiven after ignoring everything said before. He's still paying the living expenses and child support, so he better show some sincerity from now on. However, whether he can attend our daughter's wedding is questionable. As for Jennifer, she's relieved to be free from her father's hurtful words and is living each day to the fullest. I'm happy to see her smiling more. I've also started working and enjoying fulfilling days. It seems I won't need the living expenses from him anymore. That means... well, you can imagine what that implies. How did you find this story? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.